Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday! Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios, along with Anchor Brew. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am here with my good friend Shorts Guy, wearing a sick Team USA Four Nations face-off sweater as we get you set for New Jersey Devils hockey as they once again are getting ready to take on the Minnesota Wild. Welcome to all fans watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever it is you get your podcast. Shorts Guy, how we doing?
Good. How you doing, Vin?
Doing very good, very good. So last year, my favorite baseball team was the worst team of all time. Quite literally the worst team of all time based on record and run differential.
Yes, they were.
They look all right so far. They're one of 4 teams ever to begin the year with 0 runs given up by a starting pitcher through their first 4 games. Now, do I still think they're going to suck? Do I still think they're going to suck and have fewer than 70 wins? Absolutely. But the hope is they're not the worst team of all time. That's just my quick little baseball rant before we get into hockey. I saw my hat in the on the screen there, so that's what made me think of it.
Yeah, I was gonna make mention you had your Sox hat on there.
Yeah, I get a little into the spirit, depending on what time of year it is. Obviously, the playoffs are coming up in the NHL, so that will take main precedent in my life amongst my sports fanhood coming up here. And our favorite team, the New Jersey Devils, just got a huge win on Saturday en route to clinching a playoff berth for the second time in 3 years. A lot of negativity surrounding this team in the second half of the season because of injury, because of inconsistent play in the month of February, and first half of a lot of March, too, to be honest with you. This is the last game in March. They're trying to go out on a high note, a 2-game winning streak against a pretty good Minnesota Wild team that is basically the Western Conference version of them. In terms of injury, really good in the first half, looked like a Stanley Cup contender on Christmas, and then here we are today, and they're pretty good bet to be out in the first round, unless a miracle happens for them. Last game before the game began, we discussed what the Devils needed to happen in order to beat the Minnesota Wild. And I don't toot my own horn too much on this show because I'm mostly wrong. But I came up here and said that Nico Hischier needed to have a huge game if you're going to beat a heavy physical team like the Minnesota Wild. And he went out there and had a hat trick, his second of his career. What do you make of Nico's game in the most recent win against the Wild?
I thought he played really well, and that's exactly what he needed to do as the captain. But even more so. His first goal was within the first minute. That's the type of start this team needs. They need to have another fast start because we tend to have really slow starts, and we get behind the 8 ball. And when you're struggling as a goaltender, that's the last thing you want to do. It's just like. It was a great start, and then to back it up with with the 2 others in the hat trick, and then Kovacevic dropping the gloves, all around. It was absolutely great.
Absolutely, and so what of that game needs to be recreated here as they look to play against the Minnesota Wild again, this time in Newark?
They got to do the same thing. I think they have to do the same thing. I think but the Wild will be ready for it this time. They got Gustafsson going against Markstrom again, so that's going to be the same goaltending matchup. So we'll have that. I think that we have to have another fast start, and I feel like we have to just do exactly what we did. Just get those 2 points. Because the sooner we get clinched into the playoffs, the better. It seems to be some of our secondary scoring is starting to wake up, so we really need that.
We do, and it has sparked up a little bit again. We're seeing Paul Cotter, Thomas Tatar had a big goal
Eric
in the
Holla?
game. Yeah, Holla's been playing well. I've enjoyed even Mercer in the last handful of games. He's been taking a lot of flack this season. He's very streaky. Okay, I'm not sure he's going to be the consistent 30-goal scorer that people thought he might be in his rookie season. I do think that he can provide a spark to a team in the middle six. If we start accepting him for what he is, he's
Mm-hmm.
just a spider monkey out there, and he's going to score some goals. He's going to have some near misses, and that's what we've seen from him a lot lately. I think the world of Nico Hischier. What he did in that game was incredible to me because he put the team on his back. And the Minnesota Wild
Yeah.
are good. I know they're floundering, kind of like the Devils, but they're a good team with a lot of really good players on their team, especially their defense and goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
I think back in the day, like watching Getzlaff and Kopitar and Taves just dominate the Western Conference as those big, beefy two-way centers. You saw the same thing with guys like Barkov and Eichel in the last handful of years now. McKinnon's a different story. He's a unicorn with his offense on top of everything else.
Yeah.
But he sure to score goals number 31, 32, and 33, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
blow past his career high. It's just a true sight to see. I mean, he's got to be in consideration for the Selke Trophy, but doing what he can, scoring all sorts of different kinds of goals. I know Cale Makar went 4th overall in his draft, but it's hard to imagine the New Jersey Devils without their captain, Nico Hischier.
It is, and he's very much. I know we've mentioned it before, but he's very much a Patrice Bergeron type player, and that's really what you want. Like he's not a vocal leader. He's not a vocal guy. He's not a Matthew Tkachuk, for example, that's going to go out there and he's going to punish somebody physically, and he's not going to go and call his team out it was Tkachuk's dad that called the team out on the radio station, but he's not going to have any of those flashy headline making statements. But Nico Hischier is one of those quiet leaders that I'm sure in the locker room is just extremely vocal to his team, but he just goes out and does his job and leads literally by example.
He does, and I think Jack Hughes is improving on this. In terms when he's healthy, his defensive style, being really good at takeaways and, the back checking and all of that's improving in his game. He's never going to be like a two-way dominant force the way that a guy like Nico Hischier is. And he's been that way since he's 18 years old, so he's really only going to get better, which is scary to think about. Would I like to see him, create more plays a little more often and be a 50 assist guy? Because I think he can. I think the skills are there. And that would probably push him over 100 points if he was ever able to, become that kind of player. But Patrice Bergeron only had more than 75 points in his career once. And he's the greatest two-way player of all time. He does everything right in all three zones. It's truly marvelous. Yes. And against a team like the Wild, who play hard, they don't rely on their skill too much, especially with Kirill the Thrill out of the lineup because of injury. The Wild play the right way, and they always have. They just have been, have not had enough talent in the last, couple decades. They were very top heavy during the Parise Suter years. Now they're a little more filled out, but a guy like Hischier leading the way, man, that's how you eventually win Stanley Cups. And if they get Jack Hughes back healthy and Hischier keeps doing what he's doing, what we've seen from Meyer and Bratt lately has just been outstanding. I hope they're really able to replicate that game from Saturday night here tonight at the Rock.
Yeah, I think if they go out and do that, they can do the same thing. They'll have a very similar result. So I would like to see someone like Timo Meier score tonight. Maybe Timo Meier does what Nico did on Saturday. Maybe if there needs to be another fight, let there be another fight. So let's just go out there and just play that game, because the Devils are capable of playing a 60-minute game. And that's what they did. That's the other thing, too. They went out and they basically played a 60-minute game, which they haven't done in a very long time.
And being the representative goalie on the Let's Go Devils podcast network, I don't think anybody else on the network ever played goal in their time playing hockey, did they? Was Beer Baron or Scotty ever? Steven did?
Steven did, yeah, on Hockey on Tap. He was a goalie. And I know Schwim attempted to play goal once or twice, but it wasn't successful.
Yeah, that don't count. Okay, well, the goalie representative on this show, certainly. What do you think of Markstrom?
I thought Markstrom did very well. I thought Markstrom came out with fire. He was, he jumped in what's his name's face after he popped the puck in the net after the whistle. We talked about that on the big show last night. But I think Markstrom did what Markstrom had to do, and it was one of those games where he got that win. And when Markstrom's on his game, he's on his game, and I'm willing to bet that this is him finding that game again, because the team showed up for him and he showed up for the team, and that's your recipe for success. Even the defense showed up. So that's how you succeed in this league. All three facets of the game show up, you're going to win no matter what.
And a great sign is that Sheldon Keefe is going right back to Markstrom after, he had a little bit of injury trouble, and his play faltered when he first came back from injury, but his most recent game against the Minnesota Wild looked, stupendous. And now we get to see him again facing off against Philip Gustafsson. I'm watching the game with my brother on Saturday night, and when that thing happened where Markstrom got a little testy, he's like, is Fleury in net? Is Fleury in net? I'm like, nope, it's Gustafsson, because Fleury might have been waiting at the red line for Markstrom had he been in net for that type of game. I know Fleury, he's one of those like nice guys that just likes to fight because it's funny. So it would have been an interesting situation.
That was such a disappointment that they wouldn't let him go against Binnington.
They're stopping goalies from fighting. I think it has to be. I've heard Elliot Friedman talk. I'm a frequent listener of 32 Thoughts. I just try to be as loaded with unnecessary hockey knowledge as I could possibly be. They talk about often how it seems like there has to be some kind of internal discussion on not letting goalies fight. I don't know what it is. It's probably injury related, because if any team loses their starting goalie, they're in trouble. That probably has something to do with it. But man, what was that one recently? Oh, Swayman and Kemper. They broke that. I was like, "What are you doing, Stripes? What are you doing?" Hockey is the NHL is an entertainment product, also.
There's really nothing like a good goalie fight, and I think one of the best you can look at all time is the Wah Vernon and the Wah Osgood fight. But I think the Wah Vernon fight was easily the most memorable for me, because that was just like two titans just slugging it out. That was such a great thing to see. I remember getting a hockey catalog the season afterwards, and the whole back cover. It was Source for Sports up in London, Canada. The whole back cover was just a full-page still picture from that fight. Like they're both like mid-punch. And I think that was one of the greatest pictures I think I've ever seen on a catalog.
It's a great fight. If you're ever looking for some entertainment, and maybe save it for the off season when there's no hockey to watch, maybe that's something I'll go back. But I've gone down some rabbit holes of like goalie fight YouTube compilations. You could find like hour-long videos and just grab a thing of popcorn and go ham on it. Grab yourself an Ancrew brew and dummy some Ancrew brew while you're watching these goalies dummy each other. Ray Emery's been in a couple. I know most beer leagues don't allow fighting, but have you ever been in a Donnybrook or two? Maybe a little, just a exchanging of words.
Exchanging words, absolutely.
With another goalie.
With another goalie, no, not with another goalie. Actually, just going at it with some. With a couple forwards. I think the last time that happened, I took exception to something, and I hacked at the guy. And this guy is notorious for just doing stuff like that. And I hear out of the corner, I hear Steve from the Hockey on Tap podcast go, "Shorts guy wouldn't have done that if you didn't do anything to him first." And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not just going to come up, but true. I mean, sometimes you just have to do it. Sometimes you take exception to stuff that happens. You get clipped a couple times. They go after your glove a couple extra times. Just sometimes you just have to do it.
I feel like that's how I would feel if I were a goalie too. Like, you're not in the crease looking to start. If you're a forward or a defenseman, I definitely feel like that's my mentality. But if you're in the net, you're just like the normal hockey play. You're waiting for it to come to you. I feel like that's the same thing with anything angry in terms of hockey too. But don't put that puck in my net after the whistle's blown. I don't even want you putting it in during regulation. What makes you think I want you putting it in after the whistle's blown? Don't hit my pad 1,000 times after the whistle's blown. Don't you come near my glove and risk breaking my hand. And if you touch my stick, I'm going to kill you. So, yeah, I totally get the whole goalie anger thing with the stuff post-whistle.
Yeah, and we were talking about it, Scotty and I, last night on the big show, and that was a perfect opportunity for Markstrom to say something like, so that's the only way you can score, huh? After the whistle and after everyone stops
Mm,
playing? That's like a perfect opportunity to say something like that.
absolutely. And I loved seeing from Markstrom. I actually thought Minnesota's second goal was kind of sick. It was one of those kind of like bar down skis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the Devils to not flounder after that too, like they have in recent games that during the little bit of a struggle, because you don't have Jack Hughes to throw right out there after a big goal like that to just control the puck for a couple minutes and kind of settle things down. That's not the way it is right now. And they, to their credit, Nico Hischier went out there and just scored another one. Okay, we'll get that 3-goal lead back. It's easy. It's incredibly hard, but it's easy for Hischier when he's on fire like that. So I'm excited. I loved that win. It's probably one of my favorite wins of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Devils are pushing 40 wins. It's not like they're a bad team. I know if you just go on Twitter and read about them, you would think that they're this Chicago Blackhawks, San Jose Sharks level team. Then you look at their
Yeah.
record and they're like, oh, what are they complaining about? But a lot of the complaints are valid, but they still are closing in on 40 wins. There's a lot of them to choose from for your favorite. That one has to be up there because of the magnitude of getting those 2 points with the way the Eastern Conference is going and the Wild being a pretty strong team themselves, and then you get to play them in a back-to-back situation here. If I recall correctly, didn't they play them back-to-back last year too? Home and home? It was earlier
I
in the
don't know.
season, though.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they did or
I
not.
don't know what it is
I
about the
want to.
Wild.
It's like it's something with the Wild. Let me see if I can look. Oh, I got my laptop right in front of me. What am I doing on my phone? Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
Are
I
there a
I
lot
don't.
of Devils Wild connections through like the Miracle era? I feel like Herb Brooks is obviously a former Devils coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's a statue of Herb Brooks outside of the XL Energy Center in St. Paul.
Yeah,
I know Neil Broughton played for the North Stars and the Devils, right?
and the Devils. Yeah,
Um,
uh,
I feel like there's another big connection. Zach Parise, obviously, that's more
Zach Parise, Billy
him.
Guerin. I know
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
Billy
it's not a
G.
miracle era, but Billy Guerin, Brian
No,
Ralston played for both teams.
yep, yep. I just feel like New
Uh,
Jersey and Minnesota have always had kind of like a intertwined history due to Lou Lamoriello being as active in that era as
yeah,
kind of the Wild coming up too.
yeah.
I almost said
I
Tom
feel like there
Fitzgerald,
might
but
be
that's
another.
Nashville.
Yeah, I feel like there might be another connection there. I feel like you're right. I just don't know what in the world it is.
Did Pandolfo ever play for the Wild?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
I don't think
I
he
don't know.
did actually. That's more
I
of a
don't think he
connection with
did
the
either.
Bruins.
And yes, we did a back-to-back with the Wild last year. You're right. The 29th and of October and the 2nd of November. So yeah, back-to-back, home and home. That's so
You
weird
want to know why I
that they would
remember
do it
that?
2 seasons. Why?
I remember a lot of stupid things for a lot of dumb reasons, but I always have a
Mm-hmm.
reason. I was in Wisconsin last year during the Devils' little home and home with the New Jersey or with the Minnesota Wild, and
Mm-hmm.
in certain parts of Wisconsin, the part I stay at frequently is one of them. The Chicago Blackhawks, Minnesota Wild, and Detroit Red Wings are all blacked out. It is the
Really?
dumbest,
In
stupidest thing.
Wisconsin?
And they were playing the frickin' Devils, the team I watch every minute of every game of. So I had to find a legal means to watch it last year. I'm good this year. If it ever happens again, I have ways around it now. But last year, I remember I was pissed. I actually think I ended up listening to one of the two games. Um,
Jeez. Why
yeah,
would they blackball that out in Wisconsin?
I they don't have a pro team. I, I have no idea. I have no idea.
You'd
Just like
figure
I know,
someone would have rights to it. Like you would think that maybe the Wild would want to have people to have the rights to it out there.
yeah, 100%. In Chicago, I mean,
Yeah.
Chicago, Illinois, and Wisconsin are like, you know, a kid and a redheaded stepkid. Like, they're like they're like brothers that hate each other. So you would think that they want that, but the NHL and their blackouts, it's very dumb. We could do a whole podcast on that alone. We
Oh
have a game
yeah.
to get to. Shorts guy, I want people in the chat right now to get your predictions in. Don't make me open my phone. I'm in the car. Don't make me open my phone and not see predictions. Don't make me open my phone and not see predictions. While people are loading up those predictions before I open my phone, what do you think is going to happen in today's game between the New Jersey Devils and the Minnesota Wild?
I will take an absolute repeat of the game from the other day, but I feel like that Minnesota is going to step it up a little bit and know that they. Brooke, Amanda, and I were talking about this today. We were in a disagreement whether the Devils needed to win this game or not. Brooke is of the belief that we didn't need to win this game, but I believe that every point matters at this point. So you just got to win them out. So the Devils beat them 5-2 on Saturday. I'm going to say that they're going to beat them 4-2 tonight.
4-2. Okay, so a repeat just at home this time. I would love that. Wait.
Well,
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it 5-2?
Yeah. 5-2. Yeah, it was 5-2, but I'm going to say 4-2.
4-2. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go. I'm actually going to read the chat first. I was trying to figure out what the Devils' tragic number is. They're safe of a playoff spot by 8 points. I'm so bad at math. I don't know anything about math.
I think I've got Max's spreadsheet.
It's 8 points.
Let me take a look. It's 8.
It's 8 points. But the Rangers have only one fewer game played than them. The Blue Jackets have 3. So, yeah, It's going to take a minute to clinch that third spot in the playoffs, or that third spot in the Metro. But I'm more thinking clinching the playoffs. But, yeah, let's open YouTube. Enough with that. Because I don't look at the Atlantic teams at all. When the Devils are in that third spot of the Metro, Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit, they're irrelevant to me. I hope Ottawa and Montreal are the 2 teams that solidify the wild card. Nothing would be worse than like the Rangers and Islanders getting those last 2 spots. I mean, literally freaking no. We don't need that anymore. We're over that. Let's get Suzuki and Montreal in there. Let's get Brady Tkachuk and Ottawa in there. Give me Leafs Ottawa first round or Leafs Montreal. Either way, so bad. I need it.
Leafs Montreal would be great. Oh, that would be pure hate. That would be so much hate.
If those 2 teams are the wild card teams, you're either getting the Battle of Ontario between Toronto and Ottawa, or the OG, the original 2, Toronto and Montreal. Either one. I love Canadian hockey so much. And now, I'm saying it for the 3rd time, but I'm actually doing it this time. I am opening the YouTube app to read some of these predictions. I said it 3 times, didn't do it the first 2, but here we are on the 3rd.
You got a lot in there.
I'm going to try. There's a lot in there. People listened to what I had to say. Joey says, does Vinnie sleep with that headset on? It looks like it fits just right. I actually was messing with it right before I got on. I made it perfect because every hat's a little different, and I feel like the shape of my head varies depending on what part of the sky the sun is. No, I'm totally kidding. I actually adjusted it perfectly today. I don't always do that. Joseph says 31-7 Devils.
That's a Sam Wu score.
I don't even know if I've ever seen a Sam Wu one like that before. Winnipeg was on pace to win 60-0 after the first 2 minutes of that game last week.
I know. That's scary.
Yeah, that was nuts. Select a Boy says 4-2 Devils. Brian 2-1 Devils in overtime. Brooke Amanda 4-1 Devils. Richard 4-2 Devils. Kennedy says 4-3 Devils with a Timo / Mercer fight. Ooh, that'd be interesting.
I like that. I would love to see
AJ Visco 5-2 Devils. Nick 5-1 Wild. Please no. That would really send me to bed in a terrible mood. A terrible mood. Why would anyone wish that on me? Unless you're a Wild fan, then I get it. They need a must win for the Wild because I don't think those wild card teams anymore are chasing the Blues anymore. Vancouver, Calgary, Utah. I think they're looking down the Wild's throat more than the Blues at this point. That's just my personal opinion. Joey says 5-4 Devils on a slush soft ice at the Rock. Hoops in that building for a few days now. Slow ice. Ooh, interesting point. I did notice I saw a couple Devils logos on the seats watching March Madness. Joseph says Devs 4-3. Michael says 4-3 Devils. Brooke, mad at you.
Services.
All capital letters. I was just saying it wasn't going to make or break us. Um, you got a score from Serve, you said?
Yeah, 3-1 Devils. Brat with a goal and
Oh.
2 assists. I'll take that.
And then Brooke points out I'd rather crush the Rangers on Saturday. I didn't
So would I.
realize that this was the last game before Saturday,
It is.
which means a lot of these teams are going to catch the Devils finally after 6 months. They're going to catch them in games played. They've seemed to have had a steady lead all year long in games played, and now they have a little bit to collect themselves, which is probably a good thing. Saw Dougie Hamilton and Cody Glass were skating today. Luke Hughes can use some rest too. I know he's been dealing with a little something. He probably will play today, according to Sheldon Keefe. Sam Wu, Shorts guy, says 7-2 Devils. 7-2 Devils.
Okay. I mean, I'll take it.
It's possible. That's not an impossible Sam Wu score like we're used to seeing.
It's not.
It's 11-0, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think he said 75-0 at some point for something.
Mm.
Sometimes after a while, I just tune out what Sam Wu predicts.
Well, his Penn State Nittany Lions are in the Frozen Four.
For the first time ever.
That's awesome. Is it the first time ever?
Yes.
Or is that just a shot at them? Or both?
First time,
it's both.
No, first time ever, yeah. And Pandolfo this is his 7th season in college hockey and the 7th time he's in the Frozen Four.
Yep, that's incredible. He never missed as a pro or as a coach or a player. That's
which is incredible.
Good for him. If BU won, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy if BU won.
I'm gonna try to watch those games as best I can. I think I've talked about it here and with you that I've really gotten into. I've really remembered my love for college hockey this year.
Absolutely, it's the best. The Frozen Four starts Thursday. I'm gonna pick the Devils to win this game 3-2 over the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
And since this is our last show before the Frozen Four, I'm gonna predict that Sam Wu's Nittany Lions get it done and make it to the national championship. I would just love to see that for a new program to, grow the game, as they say. And before we go, I wanted to ask, do you have anybody on the back of that, or are you going to put Shorts guy on it?
No, if I get anyone on the back, it's probably going to be Hellebuck.
Ah.
Yeah.
Remember that 5-minute period we thought Hellebuck was going to be the Devils goalie?
I know, that would have been great.
That would have been great. Sick. That would have been so sick. It's hard to commit to a goalie that's 30 for 8 years. I get that, but I mean, for the first 5 of them at least, you'd anticipate it'll keep you in like legitimate contender status.
Oh, definitely.
100%.
Well, did you just see the text there from Sam?
Let's see what Sam has to say while we're live on air. Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the all-time great media members in the history of our game of hockey, specifically in the metropolitan area, covering the New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, and New York Islanders. It is the great Stan Fischler's 93rd birthday. Happy birthday to Stan Fischler. He is one of my co-writers at the Hockey News. I actually didn't know that he's been with the Hockey News for like 50-something years. I've been there for 8 months, and it's been incredible. I can't imagine being him and being there for as long as he has. That's amazing. We love Stan. All the work he used to do for MSG, too. He's been on my TV a bunch of times, everyone's TV a bunch of times, covering the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers mostly. I think if you asked him, what are you, he would say a hockey historian mostly, I think would be his answer.
I think that would be a really good answer from him.
But he truly is great with the modern stuff, too.
He is great with the modern stuff, but he also is able to just like recall such important facts from way back in the day. And he's also done historical write-up books on like the subway system in New York and trains and things like that, too. So it's not like he's just hockey. It's other stuff, too. But yeah, he's definitely a legend.
Absolutely. We all love the Maven here at the Let's Go Devils podcast network. We all could only wish to be 20% of what he's been to the game over the years, covering it and talking about it and writing about it. It all piques our interest as people in the media as well. And seeing what he's been able to do for all these years has been great. So happy birthday to the Maven, Stan Fischler. We love you very much. And we hope everybody enjoyed today's program and hope that you tune in after the game that was to Devils After Dark, where Scotty of Sirius XM Liquid Metal will help break down the game that was. Shorts Guy, anything to get off your chest before we head on out?
I get to play on the Prudential Center ice on Saturday after the Devil Ranger game. I said it last night. I'm going to say it again.
Absolutely, and we will have Game Day Live for you before the Devils take on the Rangers, and we'll preview Shorts Guy doing that, so it's going to be incredible. And thank you to all fans watching today's program. Hopefully they get a big win against the Minnesota Wild, and as always, let's go Devils. We're the Devils.